Mr. Or is it Dr. Tom Paladino?
No, no, I'm not a physician. Just
Oh, you
yeah,
should
and
be. You should be a
you know,
doctor.
God bless you. I will never achieve a doctorate status because this is all groundbreaking. And sadly, I'm one of the few pioneers out there who's devoted significant time and energy to this research.
Yes, and by the way, I'm going to put a disclaimer in the description box, people, as well as uh, I'm going to say Dr. Paladino anyway. You just deserve it. You're officially been graced with a doctorate degree of any sort. Anyway, and I'm also going to put his biography there, which is amazing. I guess what I first want, first I want you to tell us how you came to create scalarlight.com, and then educate us as to what Scalar Light truly is. And
Okay.
yeah.
So what was the genesis of this, what I call healing ministry? It was really my understanding of a man by the name of Nikola Tesla, the great inventor. Tesla was so far ahead of his time, and he discovered scalar energy or scalar light. He actually abandoned his career as an electrical engineer in deference for scalar light. And I said to myself, wow, this must be incredible, this energy and what it can do. And it can do so much more than electricity, frankly. So in theory, it started when I was a youngster because I understood that Nikola Tesla had discovered another energy spectrum. Imagine if somebody saying, hey, I discovered electricity. That'd be quite monumental. Well, Tesla discovered another energy spectrum, scalar light, or what we call sunlight or quantum energy or prana. And I devoted my life to follow up on his work, and I'm happy that I did because it's been a fruitful life. So scalar light is a tool, just like any invention, or in this case, being energy, this dimensional energy, it's an incredible tool. So I decided to pursue a career in scalar light research, and I knew I had to bring something of merit to the general public. And so I started scalarlight.com, and I had to prove the efficacy of this energy. I had to prove that there was merit to this new science. And so we have scalarlight.com as essentially my hallmark expression for mankind. And I believe what I have discovered will change the medical landscape.
I hope so.
The medical landscape.
I really do hope so. So scalar energy, it's the same as the 0 point field, right? And
Yes, it is. It's identical.
Also the energy that we emit via thoughts.
Yes.
And Reiki.
Yes.
Also, and it's informational energy, you say. Can you expand on that?
Sure. What do I mean by informational energy? It carries instructions. So when we're speaking about scalar energy, it carries the instructions of the universe. Now consider, first of all, the fundament. Well, what is scalar energy? It's sunlight or starlight. It's the very sunlight and starlight that powers the universe, that gives expression to the universe. So I am working with that life force energy that is informational. It gives instructions, it gives design to the universe. So this is much, much more powerful and has a greater application than that of electricity. Electricity is the stream of electrons, fine. Scalar energy is the logos, is the intelligence of the universe. And that is quite profound. And that's why I've devoted a career to scalar light research.
You know what I think is kind of cool, and it must be related, the fact that you've got this double helix kind of the wave pattern for scalar energy. Yes. And you also have the double helix of DNA.
Yes.
And they both are informational. Is there any relation?
Precisely, and you hit the nail on the head. If you look at a scalar wave, it's a double helix. It's as if two corkscrews are intertwined.
Yeah.
Well, that's the exact configuration of DNA. So if you compare a scalar wave vis-a-vis to a DNA strand, it's the same ratio and proportion. The same ratio and proportion. quite fascinating. So I've always considered that a scalar wave is really a responsible for DNA. So DNA is really, in essence, a standing scalar wave.
Wow.
That's the information that we're receiving from the sun and the stars. Our DNA is a standing scalar wave.
Oh, and that's why thoughts, I mean, biology belief, if you believe you're going to get cancer, then you're changing the
Yes.
scalar energy formation of your DNA, and voila.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely. And they've actually photographed scalar waves, and it is indeed a double helix.
Wow.
And if you can imagine, again, two corkscrews intertwined, it's fascinating. So it's not the sinusoidal
Yes.
demonstration that you would see of electricity on an oscilloscope. No, it's a double helix. And it does look like the grand design for DNA. So once we really get into this, we'll be able to use a scalar wave to correct DNA, to
Oh,
correct
God.
genetic dysfunction.
Wow.
It's a tool like nothing we've ever seen.
I think it's just amazing. Now, how does sacred geometry play into that? I mean, you know, they say
Yeah.
sacred geometry is the formation, I mean, is the universe. I don't know how it relates to string theory,
Sure.
whatever, but is there any relationship? I mean, you have
Of-
this double helix and maybe it turns into upon itself and becomes toroidal. I don't know.
Yeah. There, if you look at the double helix of a scalar wave, there's a major groove and a minor groove. The major groove is 1.618 times the length of the minor groove. So the ratio is major groove to minor groove, 1.68 to 1. Well, what is the numerical, the transcendent numerical value 1.618 dot, dot, dot? That's phi, phi, or what people call the divine proportion. So embodied in a scalar wave is the phi principle, or the Fibonacci sequence, or the divine proportion. And that's why you have a phi spiral and you see the phi ratio, 1.618. You see that phi ratio throughout nature. So
Yeah.
it is a scalar wave that will embody the phi principle, the divine proportion, and that numerical figure 1.618 is then, if you will, expressed, serves as the informational system for the entire universe. So finally, we understand the meaning behind the Fibonacci sequence, or the divine proportion. It all takes its root. The very cause of that is the phi spiral of the double helix of a scalar wave. So we see that in nature, when you see the Fibonacci sequence perpetuated, it's receiving instructions from a scalar wave.
Amazing. I mean, math is the universal language of the universe, I think. It really is.
Yes.
All right, now let's talk about, all right, so I sent you pictures of my entire family, and you put us all through one of the standard programs of yours. And I want to share some of the ways we felt. First of all, my husband said that when he comes home, he doesn't have that urge for a glass of wine like he used to. And he didn't even know, and I didn't know you were doing it on him too. I really did not. And all of us have this sense of well-being, this like, wait, why am I happy right now? And Annika, my youngest, she reported being feeling a little loopy, which I think is because her chakras were put back into alignment. I mean, it's really kind of interesting, the effects that you created in us from way far away.
Yeah.
Spooky dance at a distance, so to speak. Quantum entanglement and all.
Yeah, let me comment upon that. Many times when we're working with people with this universal energy, it does correct their 7 meridians, their 7 chakras. And the upshot is they no longer have a desire for sugar, or they can break a bad habit, or some people can wean off of alcohol, or in some extreme cases, they no longer have a desire for recreational drugs such as marijuana and cocaine.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Well, it doesn't happen because I'm a drug therapist. I'm not. It happens because this energy is instructional. And this energy can unblock those meridians. This energy can correct the human conscious. Now remember, if we're working with this all-pervasive star energy, and this energy carries instructions and broadcasts instructions, well, some of those instructions are going to be advantageous to your thinking, to your soul. And that's what we've seen with so many people. It's quite fascinating. Again, this is a universal informational field. And in some cases, we can correct, let's call it addiction or phobias.
That's fascinating. Okay, so it must be kind of complicated though, because a lot of people who are heroin addicts or whatever do self-medicate because they have experienced a lot of, or at least one incident of PTSD. So do you have to, when you're helping them, do you have to choose scalar energy frequencies that address the PTSD also, or
Right.
the depression, or whatever underlying mental illness there is?
Right. And to answer that, I do not. And why? The energy, I believe this is a divine energy. And with that in mind, I'm not going to tell God how to administer this energy.
Ah,
I'm not being coy with you. So I literally turn on this high-powered scalar light instrument, and the instrument is self-directed. Okay, it's God-directed. Okay, it's not my intelligence; it's God's intelligence, and I let that immersion of God's intelligence take over a person, and it is God who performs the healing. It's God who will correct that phobia. It's God who will correct that addiction.
but do you have to, like, source energy to manifest? Do you personally have to put in some sort of intent in that?
I always pray, doctor. I
Good,
always pray.
good.
When I'm working with these instruments, I always pray. And
Yeah.
then I let God is the divine physician. I let God perform the healing.
I don't know, a lot of physicians that I know think they're God, but we won't go into that. Now, let's talk about your different programs. You have the standard one, and it's amazing that you give people free for the first 15 days for free. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, what's in those, right?
Yeah, I'll speak to that again. Why do we do that? Well, it's new and it's different. So when you have a brand new technology, we want this to be easy. We want this to be palatable. So everybody in the world, we more or less insist that they try 15 days as a free therapy.
Okay.
No questions asked. We don't ask for credit cards. We want people to get their feet wet. And we want people to see just how advantageous this is to them. So we don't push. We never hard sell anything. So on our website, we have a 15-day free trial, and we want the world to sign up. Well, whether they believe in it or not, just try it.
Yeah.
It's a simple process. We work with people around the world by way of a photograph. It's non-local healing, so to speak.
Now, what do you get? Do you get the biofield? I mean, does this scalar machine read the biofield around the person, or the pet? You could even help pets.
Correct. People and pets, we work with remotely by way of photographs of people and pets. And as you said, it is the biofield. And if we're working with this universal energy, everybody has a biofield. Every animal, every plant has a biofield. So when we're accessing a person or a pet in that dimension, we're able to send out that beneficial energy that will serve to, and again, in many ways, balance their 7 chakras. In many ways, we'll be able to create a nutrient in their body, to actually assemble a micronutrient in their body.
Well, wait,
All of this
is really cool. It's like, how can you send nutrients via, but no, it assembles things and gets, phosphorus, and nitrogen, and carbon, and hydrogen, and put it together into whatever nutrient you happen to need. That is so cool.
It is. The instruction is very simple. The instruction is actually a magnified photograph of, say, a vitamin. So if I wanted to send a person the B complex vitamins, I would take a magnified photograph of the B complex vitamins, and then I could project that energy from the photograph into the person.
Wow.
So a photograph of a nutrient will allow that nutrient to be assembled inside a person's body.
Wow. All right, so you have the standard, whoopsie, and then you have one for depression.
Yes, we have
go ahead and tell us about all your programs.
Yeah, we have a session, a program, endorphins and neurotransmitters. And
Yeah.
as the name implies, a scalar energy instrument can assemble endorphins and neurotransmitters in the body. Now, the upshot is many people are happier. You know, if you have these happy chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, etc., being assembled inside your body 24 hours a day, you will see sometimes the chemical imbalances that you have are adjusted or corrected. And many people say the endorphins, neurotransmitters, not only gives them a feeling of elation, a feeling of euphoric feeling, but it also serves to improve their mental clarity.
Yeah.
Their mental clarity.
Yeah.
So it's quite telling with some people. For some people, they just love it and they stay on it month after month. There's another therapy, another hormone therapy, that male and female hormone therapy that we can speak about. We can create male hormones for men and female hormones for women, respectively. And what does that mean? Well, if you need progesterone, this instrument can assemble progesterone in your body. And it does this again by way of this divine light. It's not my interface. The interface, the handiwork is that of the scalar wave. So a scalar wave can create the molecular composition of male and female hormones inside the body. There's another program, Minerals and Precious Stones. We can recreate the molecular structure of a mineral, or we can send the essence, the what some people might say the consciousness or the grace attached to precious stones, sapphires, rubies, diamonds. They all carry, in many cases, this essence, what some people might even say are virtues or good qualities that are embodied in that fixed molecular structure of precious stones.
Now, what does that do for the person?
Many people say it gives them, again, a sense of equilibrium, a sense of calm and composures. And the reason I've combined minerals and precious stones, I'm taking the base minerals, so to speak, the minerals we find in our soil, the minerals that we're composed of, such as carbon, calcium, nitrogen, etc. That's the base minerals, and then I'm combining that with the exalted minerals, which are precious stones, again, sapphires, um, diamonds, etc. And in so doing, these precious stones seem to have an interface on our consciousness, on our psyche.
Yeah.
Minerals and precious stones. Some people really feel the benefits to those, and especially if you're very sensitive and you can resonate with these
Yeah.
these energies and the expression of what, say, minerals and precious stones can
Well, yeah,
do
but
for you.
yeah, because think about what crystals can do, um, and they're used for healing, etc. I want to step back to the endorphins again. You know, it's really interesting. Almost everyone in the Western world is endorphin deficient, or they have an autoimmune endorphin. I mean, an acquired, which is autoimmune, like their auto antibodies are destroying their endorphin
Yes.
receptors.
Yes.
And endorphins are not just for making people feel happy, although I think a lot of heroin and fentanyl addicts probably are deficient, and that's why they self-medicate that way. But endorphins are responsible for normalizing the immune system and stopping pathologic inflammation. And pathologic inflammation is behind every disease. There are endorphin receptors on every cell except RBC, red blood cells. So in a way, if you can increase one's endorphins, then you will stop pathologic inflammation that can cause heart disease, cancer, autoimmune disease, of course. You know, even autism is based in inflammation. So endorphins are much more important than people think.
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
now the next program, you want to talk about the addiction and chemical detox, or what else?
Sure.
Your list?
There's another program, addiction chemical detox, as you mentioned. And what is that? Well, with a scalar instrument, you can control molecular forms. And to some extent, we're able to break down what I would call the residual or the leftover chemical formation of, say, heroin or cocaine in the body. So if I can take a scalar energy instrument and break down that molecular structure of a recreational drug, then your body's evacuated. We eliminate those recreational drugs from your body, and so your body is no longer has that signaling molecule, that potential in your body. So you don't have that hold. If you can efface any memory, any psychic memory, or any molecular presence of a recreational drug in your body, then your body no longer recognizes that drug, and it no longer desires that drug.
No. But again, do you have to also, I mean, the scalar energy, if they have PTSD that has caused them to go that way, source energy, scalar energy will know to address that too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And again, and this is more or less the easy answer to all of this. It's not my energy, it's God's energy. And on account of the fact it's God's energy, I am not the operator. God is the operator.
Right.
So we've been able to help some people with PTSD, some people with emotional problems, depression, anxiety problems. And many times we see resolution to that simply by virtue of the fact that this download of energy is going to some way reprogram their psyche, some way reprogram their brain waves, reprogram their 7 meridians, or what people in the Far East call the chakras. All of this is really an auto-directed therapy. It's not me. I simply turn on the instrument.
Pressing the easy button. That's what we're doing here. All
yes.
Right, so, go on. And any other programs you want to talk about?
Let's see. One more. Natural foods. What is that? I take photographs, magnified photographs of natural foods, herbs, vegetables, fruit, grains, and I'm able to recreate those phytochemicals, those phytonutrients inside the body. So if you program a scalar energy instrument to impart natural foods, it will do that. And the very plant chemicals found in natural foods will then be recreated inside the body.
Wow. All right. So what if somebody doesn't know what they need, of what program they need? Can you consult with them and get a history and et cetera, and figure, well, you need these 2 programs or whatever?
Yeah, we will consult, and then again, according to our pro forma, we allow everybody without exception to try those free ancillary programs such as endorphins and neurotransmitters. We let people sign up for 30 days.
Oh,
we always want
standard session.
No, even the ancillary. Why? Because we always want people to feel comfortable. So we more or less force people to try a free session. Without pay, try a free session. And we actually, if you could sign up on our newsletter, every other month we're giving away a free session.
Wow.
No matter who you are, we'll just send you an email. So the point is this: it's a new and emerging science. And because of that, people have to become acclimated to this. They have to become familiar with this. What's the easiest way to do that? We give away free sessions all the time. So, the overarching consideration, doctor, is to help people. It's a healing ministry.
And I feel like that's your motivation, that you're a humanitarian. You're really trying to help people out there. That is wonderful. Okay, so compare this to the Rife machine. That's non-local. I mean, that is local, right? It uses like radio frequency or something, radio carrier waves.
Royal Rife was a genius, and in many ways I've copied him, at least from trying to imitate his work in a scalar perspective. From what I understand, a Rife instrument is using electromagnetic energy. I'm not using electromagnetic energy. And to prove that I don't use electromagnetic energy, I work with everybody remotely. When you're working remotely with a photograph, and nobody visits a clinic, I don't have a clinic. I don't have a physical location. To the contrary, people simply send me a photograph, and with these instruments, I can work with anybody, find them, access them by way of this scalar transmission. So in a scalar dimension, you could work with anybody in the world by virtue of their photograph. And that's the distinction between scalar energy and electromagnetic energy. Scalar energy, you only need a photograph of a person to send them energy.
Wow, that's great. So I want you to talk about some of the amazing research you've done, like with pathogens and PCR and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty
I'll
cool.
do that. And before that, I have to issue a caveat. I'm not claiming that I have any cure or remedy for any disease, but
No.
I'll give you the facts and figures here.
Okay.
When people approach us, many people say they have a viral infection. Let's say they have herpes.
Okay.
And with these instruments, I'm able, now, if you will, I'm able to release the molecular bonds of a pathogen. So what am I saying? I'm able to disassemble, I'm able to fragment a pathogen, including the herpes virus. So if I fragment, if I break apart the herpes virus, you no longer have that virus.
Yeah.
It's shattered, it's fragmented. And to prove that, many people, after we've worked with them, have gone on to have a diagnostic test. And those diagnostic tests show that there's no viral load for
That's
herpes.
amazing. And HIV too, right?
And HIV, and Epstein-Barr, and cytomegalovirus, etc. So
Lyme's disease,
yeah.
Morgellons.
So these instruments shatter infectious agents. These instruments fragment viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Well, what does that mean to you? Well, it means the absence of a fungus, the absence of a virus in your body. So
Like
with
yeast.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that, you're going to be, you're going to see a germ cleanse, a pathogenic cleanse, and your health is going to improve.
Now, can that overload the system? And do you have to like have a detox frequency to intermittently? Otherwise, all this trash in your bloodstream can get the better of you, or not?
Yeah. There's no detox because we're not using chemicals. So when we're working at this quantum state, we simply release the intelligence that holds together a virus or a bacterium. So
Oh,
there's no chemical. If my two fingers represents the energetic bond of a virus, and we simply negate that bond, it's a molecular bond that we're negating. So there's no chemical, hence there's no chemical die-off, there's no chemical reaction. We only use light, again, sunlight or starlights, which is scalar light. So the beauty of this, it's non-invasive. We use energy. There's no chemical detox. We don't use chemicals ever. And there's no negative side effect. There's
I was
no
going to ask you that.
downside.
I was going to
I'm
ask
sorry?
you that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
no
nothing.
downside to it.
What about well? First, let me say that, of course, if you decouple bonds in a virus or bacteria, fungus, or whatever, that microbe is going to die, right? And the body's
Yes.
immune system has to clean up that debris.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I was
I'll
talking about. If that's, oh my God, my
I'll
body
be
can do this.
I'll cut to the chase. It's even much more profound than that, doctor. If let's say we take a bacterium, it's a living cell, and when we break down those molecular bonds, we reduce it into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen,
Oh,
and
wow.
proteins. So we really don't kill anything. We transmute, we take one molecular form, bacteria, and then we reduce that bacteria into the elements.
Wow. And the right
Which,
machine, that's not the case. You have
yeah,
to have a
right.
detox thing going on. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and why? Because with the Rife instrument, you're using electricity and magnetism. You're using the electromagnetic energy. To the contrary, a scalar instrument is using scalar energy, which breaks down the molecular bonds of a pathogen. So the pathogen ceases to exist. So we're actually taking a bacterium and we're instantly reducing it into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and proteins.
And things you can use and build it in
Yes,
nutrients.
yes.
Okay, can you, beside health applications, um, can you use it to like improve powers of manifestation, for example?
Yes. Many people say that the meridian balancing gives them a deeper dream state, uninterrupted sleep pattern. And many people say that their creativity has been enhanced by doing this. Once again, if you're under this influence of a high-powered scalar light instrument, it's going to balance your 7 meridians. It's going to balance your brain waves.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, the result is clearer thinking, or maybe a dream state that is advanced or significantly more profound, or a deeper, more meaningful sleep without interruption. And that's what we've seen in so many people. So it really is a consciousness instrument that I'm working with. It's God's grace, and it can change your thinking. It can change your mental perspective in life.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it in me and my family members. So what if you got somebody sent you a photograph of their home? Because there are people living there, does it have some sort of special field?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. Some people have sent me photographs of their homes for what we'll call an energetic cleansing.
Okay.
And some people say that it's worked. Some people say that their home is happier, that there's less negativity in their home, there's less strife, people are happier. So I would say that a photograph of a home or workplace will enjoy the benefits of this divine energy.
That's cool. I've heard that in some cases, everybody living in the home seem to be able to manifest easier. And that's probably just a matter of the energy.
Yes.
Sensing,
Yes.
increasing the vibration overall. Okay, so yeah, what about what about can it help lengthen telomeres or slow reverse aging? Have you seen that happen?
I can't prove that it's going to lengthen our telomeres. I would hope it can, but I don't have scientific evidence of that. But I will say anecdotally, many people who've been under our program for 2 or 3 years feel that their aging process has been curtailed, that they're not aging as they used to. Now, I'm 60 years of age, and I certainly don't feel like I'm 60 years of age. So
No, either.
Yeah, thank you. So I believe that this is, if you will, slowed down my aging process. Many people say that.
That's interesting. So can it do spiritual things like cure somebody who's suffering from spiritual depression? Or, we know it can balance chakras, open the third eye, decalcify the pineal gland, DNA activation, anything like that?
Many people have said that this has helped them with depression. Again, I can't make a claim, but some people say that they're not as depressed and they have more motivation in life. Many people say that they've been able to give up excessive alcohol drinking, excessive watching of TV or video games. It gives them a greater clarity, a perspective in life. It gets them out of a rut. Do I think it has great spiritual benefits? Yes. Do I think this is a pathway to holiness and virtue? Yes, I do.
Wow.
I think this really is the connection to God. I think scalar energy is really the essence of God. And when you're under his influence, under this energy, under this light, you're under the influence of God.
Just let go and let God, for sure.
Yes.
Now, tell me about the machine you use. What is it? What have you constructed? And photograph goes in this slot, and a picture of a vitamin goes. What is it?
They're custom built instruments. The best way I can describe it, it's a vacuum tube generated instrument that is able to take a scalar wave, hold that standing scalar wave, and then broadcast it through a Tesla coil to magnify the standing scalar wave.
Wow.
And the entire point is this, doctor. When you're close to this instrument, you're in a scalar energy force field. You're no longer in an electromagnetic force field. So within that force field, incredible things can happen that are not possible in an electromagnetic force field.
Wow, something. Can you help somebody without them knowing? Like take a picture of your relative who has cancer, but they won't possibly sign up. So, or that has anything, whatever, depression. Can you do that? Is that ethical?
We ask people to give their permission to be treated, but to give you, for instance, many parents work with their children, who are not of the age, and parents will send in photographs of their young children, and we'll work with the entire family. We'll administer energy to the entire family, and many many youngsters, many young children see the benefits of this, and they're not really aware that they're being treated. Sometimes they're only 2 or 3 years of age. They're not quite there at the age of reason, so they don't understand the merit of a scalar energy program.
Well, it's something. So what about babies that aren't even born yet?
We can treat babies in vivo, because if we're taking a photograph of a mother and that baby's within her womb, then not only the mother, but the baby in the womb will likewise enjoy this energy.
Cool. Can you do an ultrasound photograph and of the baby?
Yes, an ultrasound would work, yes.
That is so cool. So say you have the genome, a picture of the COVID genome.
Yes.
I was wondering, if probably not, but it would be so cool to let scalar energy just like take that picture and destroy all the COVID in the world.
I can't make any claims, but I will speak to the point. During the pandemic, we were working with over 10,000 people around the world. Again, we work with people by way of their photograph. You don't need to be physically present. I never work with people in person.
Right.
And out of the 10,000 plus people we're working with, not one person tested positive for COVID.
Jeez, wow. All right, so can this energy be used to make like substances more powerful, like medicines and herbs, essential oils, things like crystals? You know.
I think it can, and frankly, when we're working with people and you're eating on a regular basis and you're under our care, I think this really potentiates even the food that you're eating and the water that you're drinking. It not only is going to potentiate your tissues, your bones, your blood, but it's going to potentiate some way the water that you're taking on a daily basis and your food intake. So what am I getting at? This energy is not electricity. This energy is far more subtle and far more powerful than electricity and magnetism. So we're not working with electromagnetic energy. We're working with a different dimension. And this dimension is head over heels. It's not in any way to be compared to electricity and magnetism. Electricity and magnetism is it's a dirty energy. It's really effete. It has its limitations as compared to scalar. There's no limitations with this dimension, scalar energy.
That's amazing. What do you see for the future? Do you see like healthcare providers having scalar machines to help their patients?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I believe the scalar technology is going to replace the electromagnetic grid.
Yes, that's what I'd love to see.
Consider what I'm saying.
Phones and all that.
Yeah, everything. Our entire electromagnetic grid will be replaced with scalar energy someday. In other words, instead of creating a power plant, a power generation plant, you don't need that. The power plants of the universe are the stars. Yes. All you need is to access the power plant, the stars of the universe. That's your power plant. So with this new energy transmission, you do not have to worry about the carbon footprint. You don't have to worry about a shortage of oil. There's no shortage of stars. So the new power generation will be scalar energy. It's going to change the way we live.
And telecommunications, everything. So, well, of course, there's probably a lot of resistance by big pharma, the oil companies, etc. I mean, look, Nikola Tesla. He built that tower that powered Colorado Springs. The whole town was scalar energy, and he made a scalar energy car that went like 90 miles an hour. But he got beat back by some nefarious entities, so to speak. So, what can we expect with? I mean, the pushback is.
We see that during Tesla's day, demonic forces stood in his way, and they did not want the advent of this energy. Now, why? Why would you not want progress? Well, it's not that most people want progress. It's the power elite. Okay, it's what we call the Illuminati or the one world order that does not want to see mankind advance. Instead, these terrible people want to control us. These terrible people don't want to see mankind flourish.
Ugh,
They don't want to see us flourish.
I know the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. I mean, there's a whole bunch of families that are part of that global elite. That
And
well, did they
yeah,
make money on oil
right.
and all this stuff? You're taking their power and their money away.
Yeah, what I see with scalar energy, it's free energy. It's from the sun and the
Yeah.
stars. And so in application, it's very inexpensive,
Yes.
very inexpensive. And it's a new way of living. And so this advent of scalar energy will change the military industrial complex. That's
They
where
don't
we're
like that
going.
at all.
That's where we're going with this.
They're part of that.
Sure they are. Because they want to make money off of us. They want to control us.
I know.
And
Media, the colleges,
ground
universities,
sure.
academia, some certain politicians, banks, they're all
Yep.
part of
Yeah.
it. But they're
They
going to
sold so
down.
many sold out, and it's a shame. But there's still many good people, and many people want to see progress. They want to see the world flourish. And one of the ways we flourish is when there's a new invention, there's a new way of doing things. We embrace that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it reminds me of the time when, you know, the automobile was a disruptive technology. All of a sudden, all these horse and buggies makers were, no, don't do that. So that's kind of the same thing.
Right, right.
Oh,
We've
we're going
seen.
to do so many jobs, but no.
No, you don't. No,
No.
you don't.
No.
You simply ascend. It's a step up for mankind. I heard that about fax machines when email marketing came in, when email as a technology took over. Well, very few people use a fax machine anymore because you have that written text on your phone or on a computer. Now, um, it's an advance. Society must advance. Every step along the way, every invention, every discovery, we have to advance.
Yeah, I don't think it would to build the infrastructure for scalar energy would be that difficult or massive, right? I mean, oh,
No, it really isn't. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And my point with my research is to show a working example. You could call my effort 1x, 1x. Now, obviously this needs to be repeated around the world, but if it's done once, then people can copy what I've done. So my point is simply to introduce this to the world. I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the money and the backing to make this a world scale project. I don't.
Yeah, well, you're going to have enemies anyway with that. So why didn't Tesla, Elon Musk, make a scalar energy car like Nikola Tesla did? I don't understand.
I like Elon Musk, and he's thinking outside the box, and he's trying, and he's doing a good job. But I don't think Elon Musk understands that Tesla was working with scalar energy. He's not working with electricity. Most people just think of Tesla as an electrical engineer. Tesla was the first man to discover scalar energy and create scalar energy instruments. A lot of people miss that. And it's not taught today in academia because it's suppressed. You're not going to find a college class on scalar energy.
Yeah, of course not. Ugh, that's academia. It's part of it. So, what about people that have an illness or an infection, but it's their spiritual contract to have that? Will that make it very difficult for God's energy to change that spiritual contract? I mean, because they have lessons to learn from that difficulty.
Yeah, that's up to God. That's up to God. Again, this energy is controlled by God. I really believe this is a divine energy. And one of the reasons I say that, because it carries the instructions of the universe. Only God can instruct the universe. But some people are beset with illnesses, and I certainly can't cure all the illnesses. So maybe that is maybe that is their lot in life.
Yeah, maybe. So have universities, governments, medical schools, other third parties contacted you to request some sort of collaborative research or pilot studies?
No.
Why? Same reason, huh?
No.
New World Order.
Exactly. And it shows you how suppressed this technology is, and how no matter what my intentions, I'm not receiving the backing or the cooperation of government, big business, academia, trust, foundations, etc. The very organizations that you would expect would help me Nothing.
Let me tell you,
Nothing.
the divine is going to intervene. It already has, and that deep state, the global elite, they're going to be hobbled. It's happening already.
Yep.
So, I mean, of course, God is going to good over evil, man. All right, so that's kind of this is backtracking a little bit. That's my mind. I'm 65. What can I say? Is it kind of the stuff that allows mediums to channel and psychics to see in the future? I mean, is that involved somehow?
Yeah. The very working fundament of clairvoyance is scalar energy. Remember, this is an informational system. So if you're a prophet of God, God's going to impart his wisdom or some prophecy by way of scalar transmission. Why? That it's God's preferred mode of communication. It's the perfect mode of communication. So clairvoyance, prescience, the ability to see the future, prophecy, etc., all of that, intuition, all of those are really undergirded by this scalar energy dimension.
I wonder if people that are treated with your programs could find themselves channeling their loved ones more, or just having more telepathy and just interesting things like that.
I think it's almost automatic when you're under our program, whether you realize it or not. You know, a lot of people say that their dream state has again been enhanced, or that they're able to pray in a more meaningful capacity, or they're able to revisit trauma and have a closure or have some type of consideration of trauma in their past life. So this brings, if you will, some type of end, some type of closure to a problem or an issue that they've had a long-standing issue. Well, how do you do that? How do you transcend time and space? You transcend time and space with the scalar wave, with scalar energy.
That's amazing. I'm wondering if it's reversed ET technology, or if Nikola Tesla channeled extraterrestrials for this technology.
Yeah. There was a great scientist, Viktor Grebennikov, and he created a scalar energy instrument that would hover, that would levitate. And I've seen photographs of it. He was able to overcome gravity with scalar energy. So in the future, consider a scalar energy instrument will allow us to overcome gravity, and we will be able to, by way of this propulsion system, we'll be able to anti-gravity around the world. Imagine how travel will be facilitated with an anti-gravity machine.
That's weird. Now I hear that in these UFO spaceships that they found in Area 51 or whatever, that they use mercury. When mercury flows around and becomes a vortex, it creates an anti-gravitational field. And I'm wondering if the mercury going around and around creates a scalar field. I don't know.
I would not use mercury. I would never touch mercury.
Yeah.
I would say it's much simpler than that. But once you're in a true scalar energy dimension, you will automatically levitate. You simply overcome gravity. And the way you overcome gravity was with a scalar wave. Scalar energy creates gravity, and all you have to do is negate that specific resonance, and you will float. You will float. You don't have to worry about using mercury. Scalar energy is the cause of gravity.
I did not know that. This is so interesting. I watched the Gaia program a while back about medical devices of the future. This is a dude that worked in Area 51 or whatever, I can't remember, Los Alamos, and he was privy to all sorts of different ET technology, and he said that it's already available, but it's not available to the masses. There's technology where you can have an app on your phone that scans the body, determines what diseases and other conditions it can heal, and to direct the appropriate frequency specifically to those diseased cells. That I'm sure it uses scalar energy, right?
Yeah. There is a lot of suppressed technology. I don't know about Area 51. There are so many stories coming out of there, but let's face it, they're hiding something. Why do they go to such great means to hide to remain a clandestine military base.
Mm.
There is a great deal of technology today that would liberate mankind,
Mm.
but sadly, and you could say it's the Illuminati, you could say it's the banking cartel. They
Yeah.
don't want this
No.
because they want to keep their power over the people. They want to make money off of us.
Oh God, that's awful. It's really a fight between good and evil we're engaging in now.
Yeah,
So
it is.
can these machines, if it's in the wrong hands, be used for nefarious or
Yeah.
abusive reasons?
Yes.
I'm going to say no,
Yes.
right? I mean, if it's God's in, I don't know. You tell me.
To answer that question, yes, it's a definitive yes, because like energy is a tool,
Mm.
and you could use it for peaceful means, or you could weaponize it.
Mm.
This is one of the reasons why Tesla never gave up many of his secrets. He went to the grave with much of his understanding of scalar energy because he knew mankind would not properly use this technology to glorify God and to help people.
So they could
Look,
make a weapon, you think?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
Mm.
think so. I think that's one of the reasons why Tesla was so quiet about his research.
Yeah.
He did not want the world to he didn't want the military industrial complex to use it and to weaponize it.
Oh, all right. So, how much easier? What would be easier to hack, a scalar energy grid or our current electrical grid?
It'll be so much easier with the scalar grid. So much easier. Why?
Hack?
You don't need satellites. You don't need wires. You
Were they
don't
saying
need
it would be easy
substations.
to hack by criminals?
Well, to go back to your analogy, when Nikola Tesla created a scalar tower in Colorado Springs, he could have powered all of Colorado, the state of Colorado, with that one tower. And you don't need wires and substations and conduit and telephone poles. Or you could just send the energy. It's a wireless transmission of energy. To use an analogy, it's much like a cell phone. When you have a cell phone, we're not using telephone wires anymore. You don't
Yeah.
have to physically pick up a phone, a landline in your home.
Mhm.
You don't need those physical wires. You don't need a physical um, uh, grid, if you will.
Right.
The grid exists. The existing grid is the ether of the universe
Right.
and
It's
scalar energy,
there.
which is the animating force of the ether.
Well, can a cyber criminal say, tap into our, if we have
Yeah.
we eventually have a scalar energy grid, and they tap into it to do
No,
bad stuff or to spy,
no, and
listen to
that's the beauty,
conversation?
because every scalar wave is distinct, and you cannot readily intercept that scalar wave.
I see. So it's much more
It's
difficult to
it's
hack.
cyber proof.
My
It's
God. Oh
cyber proof.
gosh. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about as far as the future of scalar energy is concerned? And then I'll let you have the last word and just
Sure.
say whatever message you want.
Over 100 years ago, Tesla, as you mentioned, was using scalar energy, and he created a scalar car that would
Yeah.
travel to the speed of 90 miles per hour, of a speed of 90 miles per hour. And what's the merit of that car? It did not use any oil. So there's no pollution. There wasn't any air pollution. He simply gained the power from the ambient energy, and scalar energy, this sun energy, star energy, powered a car. Well, wouldn't we all like to have cars that relied upon sun energy? We did not have to use any oil or gasoline.
Oh
There's
gosh.
no combustion. There's no smoke. It's silent in operation, and it's a preferred method of traveling. A car, a scalar energy car. There were so many inventions that Tesla presented to the world. He was just way ahead of his time. We're still
Yeah.
catching up to him. So I've decided I have to start somewhere. So if I may, my website is scalarlight.com. Visit the website. There are free trials. Look at the very top of the website. You'll see a banner, free trial. Sign up. We insist that everybody try the session first. Don't pay. Just sign up for free.
And
See if you like it.
Tell them that you were sent by channeling Erik. Knows
Okay.
what good this session
Yeah,
has
God bless
to do.
your son. God bless your son.
So do you think, last question, do you think there are any people out there that are trying to create a scalar energy car or telecommunication through scalar systems through scalar energy?
Privately, yes. Do I see it happening in industry now? No. Why? Industry is controlled by the bankers. Okay. If you went to the Rockefellers and said, "Please fund me. I want to start a scalar energy company,"
Yeah, right.
they would say no, because
Yeah.
you're a threat to their money and power. So this has to be done privately right now. The government is not, as far as I know, engaged in scalar energy research, nor is academia or any
Healthcare
business.
things like the AMA or big pharma, they don't want it.
No, because it challenges their existing structure. It challenges their paradigm. And no matter what good this can do for mankind, it's not about doing good for mankind. It's about making money off of people.
Oh gosh.
That's why so many of these inventions are perpetuated, and that's why so much of new technology is suppressed, because the new technology is a threat to the existing model, the existing economic model, and that's why a lot of this emerging technology is not allowed to come to the fore. It's a threat to the money and power of people.
Well, we need to call upon God, our archangels, Erik, come on, the divine, please help us topple this current corrupt structure of greed, power, money. And we need to change our consciousness from what it is now, a consciousness based on duality and conflict, to a consciousness of unity. Okay, that's where we need to go. I mean, Darwin's law was based on survival of the fittest, and that's rooted in competition. But really, the survival of the fittest would be best if there was not competition, but cooperation, collaboration. And that's what we need to learn as we evolve.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow, this was so fun.
Thank you, Doctor. Likewise. Thank you for your
Call me
insight.
Lisa, or Mama. A lot of people do. Mama E. All right, Tom Paladino, Dr. Paladino. I'll put the disclaimer and all the stuff here. And wow, this is just great. I hope a lot of people out there take advantage of this amazing technology. All right, sweetie.
Thank you. Let's change the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye now.